How can I help? What is the help that can be provided really? The help has to be in line with, along the lines of coming to the true teacher, of whom all outer teachers are just instruments. And if you were to put it simply, how do we come to that true teacher? We become empty for God. We become empty for God. So all our spiritual practices, all the spiritual pointing is only attempting to point to that. Only attempting to point to that. And what do we have to become empty of? Um, We have to become empty of ourselves, our false selves. So empty of the me, open whatever remains, being open and loving towards God. Then what happens? If we stop filling ourselves up, in that emptiness, what starts to happen? We begin to taste the mystery, begin to taste the mystery. And when it is said, taste the mystery, the taste can be of two types. One is the outpouring in the form of love, peace, joy. So those are the tasted, felt tastes of diving deep within. But is there another taste which is even more direct than the feelings that may come?
Taste your presence.
You start to taste what we call our presence, my presence. And that presence is God's presence in the form of the Atma itself. But even in between these two, there are things, for want of a better word, things that are given to us, that actually are received by us. In a way, they are always given. But in our emptiness, we start to become capable to receive. Just like the sun is always shining on everyone, but we have to step out in the open. So if we are continuously filling ourselves up with the false one, then it doesn't seem like there is space to receive the true one. So what is received? So on one hand is the tasting of the feelings, beauty, love, peace, joy, bliss, all of these things. And on the other end, there is the highest recognition of that which is beyond even presence, that who is aware even of presence, that is on the other end of the spectrum. So what is received in the middle is an unspeakable knowledge. Ineffable knowledge. It is impossible to conceptualize. So how is this received? Unlike a classroom, or like even satsang where it seems like words are being spoken. But actually, if you're really paying attention, hopefully something is being received beyond the words. Because an outer satsang is just a God's beautiful replica of inner satsang, if it is true satsang. In the sense that words may be received even inwardly, in the outpouring, even words may be received. But there is a higher receiving coming from the Atma itself in the form of knowledge, which cannot yet be put into words. And when I mean yet, when I say yet, I mean that over a period of years, we may be able to start to conceptualize or at least point to what is being shown to us. With me so far? So this this transfer of knowledge, what is the mechanism of it? And what through what is the medium? Like spoken words, the medium is the sound vibrations. So this knowledge is transferred or shared and received in the form of a silent transmission. Form of a silent transmission. If you wait in that holy place that we have been talking about, patiently and humbly, even though you may not yet be able to testify to the Atma, the presence of the Atma, or to that which Atma itself reveals to you in the highest way, which is Nirguna Brahman. Even though we may not or may be able to testify to the highest recognition, that doesn't mean that when we remain empty for God, while waiting for the highest recognition to happen, it does not mean that we are not learning anything new. We are not, in fact, being transformed almost unrecognizably from the one who started the sadhana, the practice. And the level at which the transformation is happening is deep inside of us. So even when the veil doesn't seem to have lifted, the gifts from behind the veil are starting to already be received by us. So what is the problem then? The problem, as always, is that the mind has no idea of what is transpired. So if you were to check now, what did I? He is saying big things like transformation will happen. What is changed about you? You sat for 1 hour. You sat for 1 hour in stillness. This is the mind's voice. You sat for 1 hour in stillness. Half of the time you were distracted anyway. And look, at the end of the day, you didn't receive anything. You could have been much more productive with your time. But remember that this point will really help you to remember that this is a very, very, very intimate and private communication happening between the Atma and our Antakarna. So simply put, between God's light, God's presence, and our insides, there is a very private communication that is unfolding, which at the gross layer of the mind, the intellect, we can't really fathom. Antakarna or our insides. In fact, it can be said that the Atma, the Holy Spirit, is turning our insides into itself. That which seems to have become more gross in a worldly way is now being transformed into the holiness itself. So, this is the process of spiritual transformation, where what do we have to do? Actually, nothing. We have to stop doing whatever we have been doing. And initially, the stopping of the doing will feel like a lot of doing. Isn't it? The effort is to stop. It is not to start something new. It is to stop or at least pause our process of thinking about things, solving things in our head. Yeah. Give her the mic, the back. To Zara.
Said about true knowledge. I'm always stuck in this part that I understand something like, I know that I don't have to go with the mind. Somewhere I'll quickly मुझे कुछ समझ आ जाएगा. Right? So I do.
You will understand something, but you will not be able to recognize how that understanding happened. You see? So what happens is that we are taught mostly, and again, words also may appear to us, but mostly we are taught in this silent transmission. And like I was saying, over a period of time, we are able to put that silent transmission, we are able to try and encapsulate some of it in concepts, mostly for the purpose of bringing others to the light. You see? So this is how God's light is spread, because our brothers and sisters are caught in concepts. Therefore, concepts are also provided to us mostly for this purpose of bringing them to the light as well. Now, what is the use that we may have of concepts now? Like you said, I keep feeling कि मुझे भी कुछ समझ आ जाएगा, पर उस समझ का हम क्या करेंगे? So just to translate for them, we keep thinking that we will understand something one day out of this process as true knowledge. But what is the use of concepts for us now? What can you do with the concept? Have we explored this? Like to have a concept of something is to know something. That's what we've been told. That I have the concept that the sun is so many million light years away. So you know, okay, suppose, okay, this could be really off the mark, but suppose it is 50, um, I don't know, 50 what light years away. Let's say 50 light years away. So now you have this fact, which sounds like a fact. What did you actually come to know? Just you have a fact now, which pretends to be knowledge, but there is nothing direct about this knowledge. You see, there is nothing experienced about it at the deepest level. You see, so in the world we are stuck, and even in spirituality, actually, most of our brothers and sisters are stuck in trying to understand a lot of conceptual information which doesn't translate into true knowledge, because we never leave ourselves empty for that transmission to happen. Yeah? So once you start allowing yourself to remain in this true knowledge, then you will see the pointlessness of just conceptual knowledge. So at best, then, the concepts that we learn become pointers for us to remind ourselves not to go off track. And just we need a few pointers just to keep us within some guardrails so we don't fall off the track. It's like just like that. So, so coming to satsang is when we make the attempt to not gather too much conceptual knowledge. You see? That's the point even of the notebook, is that we make some notes of the pointers and then we dive into them to contemplate deeply, not as the pointers themselves. And the only purpose of them being that they could be reminders uh, for us to return to that holy place. See? So the quest has to be true knowledge where T is capital and K is capital. And that is not found in conceptual information. And that takes some getting used to. Takes some getting used to, because the mind will keep poking you and saying, so what did you understand? You see, are you there yet? Are you there yet? And how to judge if you're there yet? What did you understand? You see? So it can be that after 10 years of satsang, all that we may be able to say is that I have just understood that I cannot understand. Basically, at the level of concept and intellect, that understanding may be very helpful. A negation of conceptual understanding can be understood. So Atma Gyan is not to be found, and that's a good point. That's exactly what I wanted to read today. I found this beautiful video on YouTube which talks about the Sufis. Maybe it's because all of you started coming, so maybe that is why the Sufi video came. So they said that there is a kind of knowing that no book can hold, no lecture can deliver, and no argument can prove. No book can hold, no lecture can deliver, and no argument can prove. Are you getting the difference between satsang and a spiritual lecture or a spiritual discourse? So a spiritual discourse can just make an argument, and we may conceptually be in favor of that argument or reject the argument. But it has nothing to do with the kind of knowledge that we are talking about in satsang. The truth of Sat is this knowledge. So they say the Sufis call it, and forgive my pronunciation, but the Sufis call it marifa, direct experiential recognition of the real. Direct experiential recognition of the real. And Jyotima will help me with this, but this is exactly what is called aparoksha anubhuti in Vedanta. Direct, without using any instrument, without taking any time, instant recognition of something which shows us our oneness with the highest. That is called aparoksha anubhuti in Vedanta. And today I learned that it is called marifa in the Sufis. So marifa from the Arabic root harafa means to know through direct recognition, not mere conceptual understanding. So is that part clear? Like direct recognition, not through conceptual understanding. I have often taken this example that if I look at this and I don't know what to call this, is it a glass? Is it a tumbler? Is it a flower pot? I can't really tell. I can, but suppose. Yeah. So I don't have a name for it, but I can still use it to drink water. So in this case, I recognize something in a perceptual way. Yeah? But I may not have the concept of it. And still it can come to use. Now there is a deeper understanding, which is neither conceptual nor even perceptual. You can't even see it with sight or hear it in hearing, or no senses can come to any use. Getting the point? It is that direct. That doesn't even need the intermediation of senses, doesn't need the intermediation of concept. It just met at a very deep place. So years in satsang we have spent where I have troubled everyone asking, what is that instrument which is beyond perception and beyond thinking? Where can you receive such knowledge? That is the very place that we are calling the holy place. The heart temple, the heart altar, the sanctum sanctorum, whatever you want to call it. It is not a place, but it may be helpful to be able to meet as a place within ourselves. Like it will not show up in a X-ray machine or a CT scan. Oh, there, you go deep in, there is a temple inside you. It will not show up in any scan. And yet, the truth of it is undeniable from my direct experience and from the experience of so many through thousands of years. And through many of you. Being able to testify to the presence of something which is not really a thing, but pristine holiness within yourself. So remember how we started satsang? I doubt. We started satsang by saying, how can I help? And what is the form of help that can be provided? Is to bring you to the true teacher within yourselves. The true teacher within yourselves, within your true self, is the Atma itself, the Holy Spirit itself. So the path of satsang is to empty ourselves from ourselves. मेरा मुझ में कुछ नहीं, जो कुछ है सो तेरा. The words can seem very poetic, but they're extremely practical. So let me translate. There is no me, nothing mine and myself anymore. Whatever there is only yours. So don't just hear it or read it as beautiful uh, romanticization of our relationship with God. It is that, but it is also very practical advice. Getting the point of that? That our constant endeavor must be to be able to emulate that sage who wrote these words. So let go of what we're holding on to in the world, in the mind, in our intellect, in our judgment. Become empty for God and offer everything to Him with a loving heart. Yes, mind.
Why do you share one message in the they shared the message. Um, I think we are connecting with God. What I understand is the message is that is the way we can evolve the attributes of God and the faith, like say, you even go on that, not because God is not loving, it's because He's doing that. Beyond our imagination, self. So we just so happen to be inside and they have to be self assessment, it's self. Sitting like to keep us. So I find it very profound, so because it's yes, not happy to thank you.
So whether we say apophatic or neti neti or the cloud of unknowing, in every spiritual path, we have been told that ultimately all imagery, all attributes, all our thinking has to be left behind. All our visualizations have to be left behind. All our understanding has to be left behind to come to the innocence of a child, you see, who is not conceptualizing anything. And in that empty, in that open and empty, we come to that exactly what we are talking about. Atma-gyana, the Amarafi, is revealed in that holy place where we are completely unsupported by any visualization or conceptualization. Even the highest concept of God now is left behind. Like the Buddhists may say, if you see the Buddha, kill him. It can sound very horrible, it still sounds horrible, but that this is what they were trying to say. That you come to such a place where you leave behind everything. Father Thomas Keating said it in a more tasteful way, probably, where he said that in your contemplative prayer, even if Mother Mary comes to you, you say to her, "Not now, dearie, I'm in contemplative prayer right now." A very strong statement to me. So know that in letting go of the highest concept and letting go of the highest visualization, when our intention is to meet God in the deepest way, but it is not a held intention in terms of concept, it's just a heart yearning now, then if there was some true vision that had to be seen or true conceptual understanding that had to be received, that will not be lost. It will still be with you. So we can safely let go of everything in our emptiness for God. Yeah. So, and the Vedantic practice of Niti Niti is just that. The question is given to us, what is real? And the rule is given to us. There is no fundamental principle behind the rule. It is just a guideline. Okay. Which is what? That everything that changes is not real. And you must focus only on that which is real. You see? So how do you start the process? You say, oh, the world is visible to me, but it is changing. You see? Everything that is received through my outer senses is constantly changing. So I am not that. Maybe the body has these sensations, but these sensations are constantly changing between pain and pleasure. The body itself is constantly changing. So I am not that. Our thoughts are constantly changing. So I'm not that. Imagination, memory, constantly changing. So I'm not that. Emotions, even primal sensations, constantly changing. So I'm not that. What is that point we come to where we are no longer able to say, I'm not that? We've thrown out all the highest concepts, like the Ribu Gita. We throw out everything, including guru, disciple, all concepts during the process of our sadhana. Okay, so now we let go of every notion, even the holiest notion, except that if we feel that we cannot remain empty, completely unsupported. So if you find that I become inward facing, and I'm easily distracted by the mind. Then you may use the name of God, or you may anchor yourself in a love for God. So, anchored in this way, we may not be that easily distracted. Then they said, so we are talking about the direct knowledge. It is the wine that flows from cup to heart without ever touching the lips. Cup to heart without ever touching the lips. We often used to say that in satsang, what is being shared is from heart to mouth without going to the head. That's what makes it true satsang, that it is shared that holy intuitive place and shared as uncontaminated by the speaker's concepts or ideas, as uncontaminated by that as possible. So this is similar to that. It is shared from cup to heart without ever touching the lips. And I would dare to add that this cup is a holy cup which is within ourselves. It is not an outside cup. So that silent transmission that we've been speaking about is the process by which this knowledge is received. Mind.
So when God falls in the heart, only witnesses and transition.
Yeah, well, in a way that actually, when it is infused in that way, usually it comes with some evidence of the outpouring. You see? And in the outpouring in the form of feeling loved, feeling, even feeling just very fresh on the inside, or feeling like the question that you had went away. So all of these are God's way of reassuring us even on an outer level that we can come to peace in this way. So the coming to peace may be a good indicator of what is being infused. But can we really rely 100% on the outpouring every time? We can't. So some part of it, like I said earlier, is always going to be a mystery. It's always going to be a mystery. Mystery to our intellect, to our mind. And it is known, like you said, in the heart itself.
Master,
Yes, Vijay.
I'm sorry.
Keep the mic
Ananta-
here. Just one moment, my dear one.
so we are speaking. Sometimes when I'm like pulled in like the holy place, like it something in me is like speaking, but it's not necessarily like I'm not intending to. So it's like, or like when you like if you feel that the sense of being carried by the God, and or when you ask like a question like what sees this, or where is the source of my being coming from, like you said, that it's not like it doesn't like say like in a word like how I'm speaking like in these human words, but like something is happening inside the vastness, and in that also there is also like a quality aspect of it, but you cannot like point to it like is or like a shape or like this computer or something, but something like very primal, like a primal is like one with existence itself. And from that, something says like, is grateful and or like thank you or like or looking, because sometimes as well as like seeing like the immensity and then like seeing how sometimes like my lack of faith still happens like in daily things, and how sometimes I still find myself maybe even worried about something, and I see the like compared to like the immensity of that, this like the entire human story is very tiny, and so like something in me is very like I just wanted to just check if I'm buying into a falsehood by allowing that, but it's something in me just feels thank you, because it just feels very grateful, and that how merciful, and also because maybe of my conditioning of how God was first of all like a very human in a very human way, where if you like do something disrespectful, just gonna send you to hell because of my conditioning. And so seeing that, although it's not to be taken for granted, the seeing that God's the love is so um like it just it just forgives everything, and it cleans like the entire being. So and because of that is something just feels to say thank you, and even in the it's not even a thank you in words, it's like it I don't feel like I'm saying it this in the same way. I don't feel it's like the Holy Spirit is inspiring the gratitude to come out somehow. It feels like that. And but I still some really like marvel at how I feel like I just feel so grateful. I don't know. I just feel because when in that it's like everything else is very like very tiny. But at the same time I still find that I'm something not able to I like in that faith and in that un unshaken faith, like something is not walking it fully truthfully. Like that's how I find it. But I'm very grateful still. I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful that you're here and that your words are so they just reflect so deeply true.
This is very good that a feeling of gratitude uh, may come over us. We may not even realize what we are saying thank you for. So that's a very good sense that we get of this holy transmission happening in our heart, that an inexplicable gratitude comes over us. It's very good. Very, very good. So this gratitude can come. Also, you may receive like a spiritual intuitive insight, a spiritual truths which you've never thought about before, which you've never tried to think about, but suddenly it's received as a gift. So that Atma Jnana crystallized in some way, uh, may be received. And we may think that this holy knowledge, this Atma Jnana, is only about what is our true self, what is reality. No, but remaining in this silent transmission also indicates to us what is God's will. Maybe not in words, but if you remain empty and stay with in that holiness, then you can allow yourself to your outer seeming movements to unfold in that natural way. That is not in opposition to God's will. So otherwise, to follow God's will would seem like such a difficult project, because even when after our prayer we feel like uh, I have received this instruction, it takes a long while before we're able to really distinguish between the heart's voice and the mind pretending to be the heart's voice. That is like the cause of much frustration at times. That what am I supposed to do? So if our endeavor is to remain empty and we allow just the movement to unfold from there, that is to follow God's will as well. In any case, in my experience, God's will, when we are even instructed about it, uh, it is usually an instruction which we need to apply with a lot of faith, because we are told about the next half step. We are not told about this is where we are leading to. Like in the sharing of satsang, just the next word or half the sentence is provided, and you have to just jump with faith. And I noticed that sometimes the mind here questions and says, "But where is this going?" But I promise you that it has not let me down. You see, so many years of sharing satsang. So, but we need to have faith because we don't know where this is going, what is the point. Sometimes we don't. So our lack of faith can come in the form of saying that till you tell me the whole picture, I don't know. I am not. See, which is not going to happen. You are rarely going to happen at all. Even if we conceptualize some version of where we have to go, after taking one step, that may change. That's why there's so many stories of following masters being so frustrating, because they'll say, okay, do this, let's do that. This is where we are going. Then midway through, they say, no, no, let's go somewhere else. This is where we are going. This is what we're doing. So we have to, it is practice for following the Atma, because in our faith, it just feeds us in very small bites. And maybe it is better for us not to know the full picture. So we can never use the filter of the mind try and get a sense of whether I'm progressing in this or not. Because the mind will always say, nothing happened. What are you smiling about? Nothing happened. Can be the voice of this oppressive mind, because many times just sitting quietly, you're filled with so much joy and peace. Mind doesn't like this. You're far from this. What he's talking about, you're far from this. But remember that nobody is far from this, because this is the most intimate. Before mind, before emotion, before anything from our senses, this is.
So you said because the mind, speak now. Not ask the mind to judge when because you may be sitting happily and sleeping. But you know that happens. I mean, so then if it says,
Intuitively,
yeah, I mean, you experiencing it.
experiencing the outpouring, and also intuitively, you know that something is transforming in my heart.
So
And she was saying, from in the heart itself, you know.
yeah, I'm gonna say, so if the mind says I have progress, then is it to be believed or not? You know what I mean? It's like, because it also
You can
says
safely disbelieve everything in the mind.
yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because you do know where it's
Of course. That itself tells you that there's more to our knowing than the conceptual knowing of the mind. And it is not, the mind's ways of knowing are very cruel, very binary, very, very gross. You're being good or you're being bad. This is right or this is wrong. In our heart, it's much more nuanced. Nobody is either good or bad. Nobody is either right or wrong. It's a full tapestry. It's a full canvas. And seeing this about ourselves and about our brothers and sisters, then we are able to live in a much more open and forgiving way. Especially when we realize that everybody's affliction is the same. It is Maya, or the Christians may call it the devil, you may call it the mind. So the affliction is always the same only. So what are our judgments about? So neither can we truly judge ourselves, nor can we judge anyone else. Because our mind is a very crude, primitive instrument. What are the ways in which this transmission happens? And there may be thousands of ways, but from my experience, sometimes it feels like you're under arrest. Like, chupchap baith jao. The spirit takes a hold on us, makes us sit like a student in school. You see, so inwardly, what that looks like is that you're just pulled in. And then the holy light transforms us from the inside, like that. We are under rest. Then other times it feels like there's a there's a system. There's a I don't know if all of you have seen these photo booths. You walk in and the flash comes in. It takes 10 photos or like that. So sometimes it's like you walk into the photo booths to be, like under tanning light or something like that, where you just enter willingly. You're not under arrest, but you want to go there. So just go in to be under the holy rays of the Atma. Many, many textures of all of this can happen. I can read some more and close. Coming to Satsang is a way to is I've called it a hack, a cheat code, various terminology I've used in the past. Really, it is that, no? Because we are so caught up in the world. If we didn't have if by God's grace we didn't have satsang in our lives, then all of this would seem too far-fetched. So coming to satsang has given us all the taste of what is being spoken. You see? And then it's very beautiful because that same taste, the same fragrance can be followed within ourselves. Whatever we are tasting, whatever we're finding within ourselves, even though we may be sitting in a satsang environment outside. But the true satsang is happening on the inside. And that seeds in us that beautiful fragrance, which we're able to then home in on, zero in on when we're sitting by ourselves as well. And that is why we must allow satsang to continue even long after the physical satsang is over. So use that opportunity of what is seated in us. Keep fanning the flame with our prayer, with our inquiry, but allow it to burn us up completely, burn the faults completely. Anything that can be burned must be burned. See, so a lot of things will come to be burned. So far, what we've spoken sounds very only beautiful, beautiful. But a lot of things, when this is happening, when the inner transformation is happening, you see, it can be much more painful than even trying to transform the body. Yeah, you have to break the tissue, and then rebuild the tissues in the process of becoming stronger. Inwardly, also, a similar process happens where our old conditions, which are so deeply held, have to get shaken out of us, and we don't want to leave them because we believe only those things which we take to be true. You see, but it keeps us, because these conditions keep us in a very primitive mindset, a caveman, cavewoman mindset, which is I am this body, you are that body, you did this, I did. No, it's a very crude way to live. So, but we value that right now. We value our righteousness what we think we know about others and about ourselves. We value that very deeply, but we don't realize that this is what is blocking us. We cannot live like an Atma in the world, like the Holy Spirit in the world, if we have so many conditions, if we have so many judgments. So the transformation, in the process of transformation, a lot of held baggage, held pain, held resentment will also be released. Forgiveness will happen, atonement will happen, but it's not always fun. Just physical trauma may be getting released for some of us, because as we are cleaning up on the inside, then all the muck has to come out. And know that what we experience is just the bare minimum required to transform us. See, in His mercy, He absorbs most of it anyway. But what is bare minimum is what is required to keep us humble, to keep us in servitude. So many times, it is not all goody goody feelings that we may feel after our practice. You may feel some old anger is coming, some old resentment is showing up, and we may wonder, but I thought I was over this. It was just a thought. You're not over it till it has been fully met and released in this way. But remember that the Atma is the most kind teacher. The Atma is the kindest teacher. So you'll never have something given to you on your plate which is more than you can handle. In reality, yesterday Chanda and I were talking about this, where I was saying that there is that which we experience, and that then there is that which the mind says we are experiencing. So if we keep it at that which is the content of our experience in the present moment, then it is never too much. But if we go with the mind's version of what is happening to us, it is often too much, because the mind wants us to be reliant on its narratives. Are you getting this point? So there is what we are experiencing, even within Maya, there is a set of experiences we are having. The set of experiences by themselves are never too much. But when we buy into the story of what is happening to us, that makes it unbearable. Like what is happening at any point of time? Suppose uh, your child is lying to you. So you may be feeling some experience of grief, sadness, some anger may be coming towards it. But it's never too much, like my life is over. But when we go to the mind's narrative of what's happening, then that can paint a very, very faithless picture. Faithless is what is trying to make us. That there is no hope, there is no chance, God has abandoned us. Father, have you forsaken me? In a way, was a cry for all of humanity, tasting humanity's pain in that one instant. You see, that primal cry in all of us saying God has forsaken me. So that was represented in that moment. But often we feel that. But we feel that when we think that the mind's version of what is happening to us is true. Try to see if you can spot this. The difference between the actual experience in the moment and what the mind, and the mind can play the reverse trick also, like a denial that prevents us from meeting everything naked, that prevents us from meeting everything empty. It just puts us in this strange la la land world of denial. And that's what things get pent up and pent up. And then in our prayer, in our sadhana, it has to be released. So it either exaggerates or there's nothing. Deny everything. Mhm. I'm going to. I don't, just don't point it this way, otherwise it'll get feedback. Just point it towards us. What happened? We just reduce the volume of it. Yeah, try it. Now it's too low.
Very important. The mind makes more.
Okay, just keep the mic to speak normal.
My Baraja. Like I'm also
Yes.
like for example, today, and there was a like was stressed in the world. I was feeling very stressed. I saw you like fully you lose your job.
Yes.
Fully. And I like slow down. Slow down. You is not where it was whatever Rafti wants it to be. Like, let me see what we so like small things like today only I saw two three things where for example I'm just for example like for me this is a thing I get tired I'm tired uh eat this much I can't do all of these things so I struggle with but for satsang also how do I manage it? But I'm like fighting with all I want to be around.
Okay, good. So that's what I was saying, that the mind's attempt is to try and make us self-reliant, smallest self, uh, be the judge of how much we can do, can't do, be our main narrator, tell us what is happening to us. So it takes a lot of faith to let go of this mental narrative and to have faith in God. Because the mind can also play the other trick, which is to say that, no, now you don't have to manage anything at all, your tiredness. Just say yes to everything and God will handle it. But notice that that can also be a mental position. You have to be fully sensitive moment to moment to being empty and remaining in our heart and allowing God to move us from there.
It's
And
important to say yes.
yes, I mean that remember that once we notice the trick of the mind, then the mind can also say, ha, well played, well noticed. Huh? And then propose the opposite position that so far you were just trying to manage your energy fully and try to do this and do that. Now we will do the opposite. But notice that that can become a new position by the mind itself. So don't fall into either. So that neutrality is difficult because the mind will complain and say, but what am I meant to do then? That we will know only moment to moment. Getting it? So no opposites. Because the mind can play this game very well. Even when you're noticing things, it will say, "Yeah, well noticed. What we should do is give you a new play. And then in a few years, you may notice, oh, that was also a mind position. So let me do the opposite. So we keep jumping between opposites. That is not the idea. The idea is to just, like little children, holding God's finger wherever He leads us, moment to moment. And that takes some sadhana, that takes some practice because we are so conditioned to following the mind. So it's not a quick fix that once I notice this, I'm free from that condition. Not necessary because the opposite condition is also the same condition. So it can be that the mind always stopped me from doing this. Now I'm going to do everything. But that now I'm going to do everything can also be a new condition. So it takes us time to become innocent in that way. That transformation, all of this can only happen if you're spending time in that photo booth with the Atman. I don't feel, by God's grace, everything is possible, but I would say it will be very, very rare for us to have that much faith, patience, gratitude, humility, especially, unless we are spending a lot of time in the holy light. So from there, all the gifts can come. And we have to be careful of any attempt to make sense out of it. It may not make sense for a long time. That's why we need faith. एक बहुत टाइम तक समझ नहीं आएगा हो क्या रहा है मेरे साथ, अच्छा हो रहा है, बुरा हो रहा है, कहीं जा रहा हूँ, नहीं जा रहा हूँ, कुछ पता नहीं. So that needs a lot of faith, not to make conclusions about our progress, especially if spirituality is our main thing, then our spiritual progress, can we really gauge? I can't gauge my spiritual progress after being on this path for so long. By inference, we may be able to say that, okay, he's sitting at the satsang chair, so many are listening to him, so he must have progressed. You see, but that's just a very crude sort of inference. What can we really say? So don't attempt to use the the mind, intellect, organism as a gauge for what is happening to you spiritually. You were talking about this the other day, that is my sadhana going well or badly? There's no way that we can tell through these conceptual means. We just have to let go to an extent where, really, like you said, the way Ramji keeps us is the way we are meant to be. Jahir vidhi rakhe Ram, tahir vidhi rahe. Whatever condition he keeps us in, we must be content with that.
In that, because it's not like a mind saying, get in a position and just check your abilities.
Yeah.
Give me this word.
Yeah.
You really have to truly feel it in your heart. And still the mind will deny you. You have to just,
It's just a pointer for us not to go there. Like, I don't have to waste time thinking about whether I'm progressing or not progressing, because he is taking care. That is the faith.
that faith is like,
Yes.
I mean, like you can say it mentally also. I mean,
It has to be a lived faith, like true.
I have to really like one time.
Because all of these things then allow us to be empty for God. They become the environment in which that emptiness can happen. Otherwise, it's so simple, isn't it? And I tried this for a few years, where anyone who would come would mostly hear that just be empty. Just remain open and empty. And are you doing it? Yeah. Are you open and empty? Really? So, and maybe it is helpful at some level. But I feel like these foundational things also got added to the sharing, because they could be helpful for many more than who can. Maybe if you very spiritually mature, or God's grace in some way, may just be able to follow open and empty like that.
It's not easy.
But when the rubber hits the road, it's not easy. Maybe it's easier, you're sitting in Satsang hall, undisturbed. Actually, there could be many mental disturbances even here. Oh, kya kar raha hai? Why does he always have to ask questions? She always has to say this, something. There could be a lot of disturbances in Satsang halls. So we can't really see. But maybe it is easier with the support which is there in Satsang for us to just remain in the unborn. But from my experience, I see that this foundation is very important. So if you can just be open and empty, then you don't need to know that there is a holy transmission which happens in your heart. What is the point of sharing about it? Because, like Saint Teresa of Avila saying that we need to be told all of these things, so it keeps us on the path, keeps us encouraged on the path, and keeps us really patient and faithful. Otherwise, you could just say, forget it, just be empty. That's all. Which I've tried for many years also to express in satsang. Reading. For Marifa, unlike ordinary hearing, does not come from reading. It arrives as a light cast into the heart by the one who knows the one who knows. Who is the one who knows? Marifa, unlike ordinary learning, which is in brackets discursive or book knowledge, does not come from reading. Basically, does not come from concept. It arrives as a light cast into the heart by the one who knows. So the one who knows is God Himself in the form of the Atma within, the form of the Holy Spirit within. So, Al-Hussein ibn Mansur al-Hallaj said, thankfully I lived in the Middle East for a couple of years. So he said, um, the ecstatic martyr of Sufism, he was the ecstatic martyr of Sufism. He put it starkly. He said, the knowledge of God cannot be carried by books, nor written in lines. It is carried only in hearts. That is why whichever tradition you look at in the world, you will find the guru disciple parampara, you will find a lineage, you will find uh, that this knowledge, the outer trigger for that unfolding in our hearts seems to be the carriers of this in their hearts, even in the outer meeting. It becomes an important trigger for the spark to be lit in us. That's why our outer teacher hold an important place. And of course, in India, they hold a place of very, very, uh, very big reverence. It is said that the Guru is the bringer of the light, the dispeller of darkness. And often we've discussed about what is the type of light that the Guru brings. It's not a worldly light. It is the light in which that which is beyond perception can be seen in quotes. And truly it is the true Guru, the Sadguru within our hearts who can do that. But the outer Guru is God's grace in our lives to start to build the relationship with the inner teacher. Because you taste the same fragrance. If it is God's grace, you taste the same fragrance. And that fragrance reminds you of the very holy place within yourself. So this light, like the sage said, is carried in hearts. It cannot really be carried in any books. So you may then say, then if reading can't do it, then why are we reading this? You're getting the distinction. The reading is serving as a pointer, as a reminder, as a trigger of something which is deeper, felt more deeply, intuited more deeply. Okay, I should not say that.
Should I just say it like this?
Try.
What is how Ram keeps us, that's how I view.
Yeah.
Like even failures on the spiritual path, like say war against passion or surrender, not be surrender. When you choose to even that, if you say you trust God that even this, is that surrender or Like I'm not able to formulate it.
It is it's a lot of faith. Like last time we were discussing that my job is to keep turning towards him and let nothing confuse me or take me away from that job. But also to know that everything that is apparently happening to me is only happening by his will. So we must never make it the reverse, that my turning to him will happen like it's very popular tendency in India. हाँ, जब वो बुलाएंगे तभी जाएंगे. हाँ, तो that is true at a cruder level, but uh, let's not make it an excuse to not turn towards God. That and often it happens when I say to someone, "Why aren't you coming to satsang?" They say, "You are not calling." No, I am calling. Please come. I'm really calling. So let's not surrender that. Let's keep that turning to God to in our scope of what we can do, and keep in the bracket of God's will everything that happens seemingly externally to us.
Keep that.
The bracket of God's will. So the example of even Satan having to take God's permission before testing Job. Nothing happened to us without God's permission. Treat it like that. But we have to keep that job of continuously turning towards God, away from individual want, individual desire, individual identity.
There is remember something that I heard in moral science student, primary student. There's this line that says, do your best and leave the rest to God. It's do your best to God will, and then everything else leave behind. Something like that.
Very good, very good. Very good way to hear. Never hand over your responsibility of loving God, no matter how high sounding the spiritual concept may be. That is my limited experience after wandering through so many different branches of spirituality. Because Maya will take away time. And Kabirji has told us, अवसर बार बार नहीं आओगे. The opportunity doesn't come again and again. Why would he provoke us like that if he couldn't turn to God? There's no need for that provocation. Or if you want it simpler, as long as you can feel like you can do anything at all, do this first. If you can lift a pen, write on a paper, and your mind tells you you are doing that, then you're still taking yourself to be the doer. Why be the non-doer only on the spiritual project? So that can be another rule. As long as I take myself to be the doer or experiencer in anything at all, then let me do this, which we have been told to do for thousands of years by the greatest sages.
Father,
Yes, God.
I see some energy that is not letting me connect with God right now because of this. There is some concept about guru, and I also feel this resistance to ask for help, which is counterproductive. I'm using these fancy words which I didn't expect. That's probably because I'm hiding something.
But I just want to ask for your blessing and light and guidance. Thank you.
You think?
Um, and also offer this up and any other concept that
Oh, the last part, can you repeat the last?
I said I just want to offer these energies and confusion up to God and anything else that can
Remember that
stay in the way.
Maya's play, the resistive energy towards turning to God, loving God, also is accompanied usually with the resistance towards the teacher and the teaching. You see, because without that, it knows it cannot succeed in taking you away from God. If it did not simultaneously make you resistive to satsang, teacher, teaching, in whichever form, then it knows that it will be checkmated soon, and these energies will not be able to do their job. So it will mostly happen together. Like when somebody is resisting being dissolved in God, then that is often accompanied by a tantrum against me or whoever the teacher may be. So, but it doesn't always have to be an outer tantrum, it can be an inner resistance. It can be it's very usual for it to work like that. And that is why when we spot it, we must just dive in fully into our love for God. Whatever helps us, whether it is our practice, whether it is listening to a devotional song, whatever helps us to return to our true home. We must not allow the mind to say, okay, today you're in this mood, so let's forget it today. We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah.
Many times I've seen that tomorrow never comes.
This is what actually pushed me to put my hand up because I saw also this postponement for tomorrow, but there is no tomorrow. So
There's no tomorrow, yes, but even if there was, I've seen that many brothers and sisters who come to satsang then say, okay, one day today I'm a bit tired, I won't go today. And then they sometimes go missing for years,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
gym, like the gym thing. Like, because today I'm not going to work out, today I'm a bit tired. Then you don't work out for 6 months after that. No, I don't work out after 4 months.
Yeah.
It can happen like that. Why does it only happen with good habits like that? Bad habit I don't do for a day, I can come back to it very easily the next day after.
Yeah. Because the grasp of the illusion can be quite quick.
It traps us like that, no? It corners us more and more. It's
Yeah.
Maya. It's like Kabirji said that she is the biggest con artist, this Maya is the Mahatagini.
Yeah. I also liked what the Ribu said in this little book, that he said that the mind energy will make the awareness to vibrate in the same resonance what I understood, or it's not exact words, but what I understood is when mind comes, it's just going to attract more mind energy. Um, and I see in myself, like, because I had some time without the children, it's easier to practice more, and it's when you're just by yourself and focused on this. And it's easier to get distracted when there is more activity and there are other energies around you that where you engage.
But you're right. It is true like that, that if the environment is more conducive to us sitting silently, then yes. But we don't really know what is the better practice to turn more towards God with when there are more distraction to make to take that difficulty on and to attempt to turn towards Him, although unsuccessfully on many occasions, whether that is a higher practice or when just the silent sitting is much easier, whether that is the higher practice. I don't feel like our intellect or mind has the capacity to make that judgment. So whatever we then just have to trust whatever life situation that God has given us at that period of time is whatever is best suited for our practice and then because we have
Yes.
gauging that.
Yeah, and I remember you said in one satsang a long time ago that God is more rewarding towards the one who's trying in adverse or so-called perceived apparent adverse conditions.
I would feel so. I would feel so. That has to count more. That has to, in a way, if we apply the human principle to it, that if my son called me in the middle of exams and some other health condition and some other distraction, and still he remembered to call me and said, "Love you, pa," you know, then that would count very highly in my book, rather than saying, "Oh, I had a lot of free time today, so I thought I'll call you." Which is also sweet, but my feeling is that our godly father also knows the difficulty that we are facing in the same way.
You know, I came across this chapter 26 of Ribu Gita. I came in the context of reading another book and finding out that Ramana was recommending these 6 books to Annamalai Swami. And also that this chapter 26, which is about abundance, which came also to my mind when you said be in the phone booth with the Atma. Um,
Photo booth
yes.
is also fine. As long as the booth with the Atma, good.
Yeah, and I I made it a practice at some point in time to read it every day, and then I started to drop out of this good practice. But I also see that now when I read it, it has a different impact on me. Because in the beginning, I was just reading it, knowing that it's good. And then now it becomes maybe something becomes more clear. But I would like your guidance on that. And I and blessing as well.
It is beautiful. We spent in Satsang in the older days, so we spent fair amount of time reading through the Gita as well. I have to say that chapter 20 is very beautiful, and I have to go with, I have to defer to Bhagwan's view on the potency of that chapter, of course. But we really enjoyed that one, no? Which one was that? With the horn of the hare one, where he slices up every notion that we can have. And he says it's all horn of the hare, just made up, conceptual, illusory. That is a beautiful chapter as well.
Yeah.
Is it 21?
20.
I don't remember. 8, a bunch of things. 6, 8, 21, multiple options. It's all horn. There is no Ribugita, of course.
And I have one paragraph that recently drew my attention. Can I share that with you, and maybe you want to share something with us?
There is no paragraph, there is no attention, sharing,
It's
vocal.
fun. It's from chapter 26, and I just noticed now it's actually paragraph 26. And the reason I liked it is because it also it touched me in my heart, but it does also produce some sense of finality at some point in time of this Maya.
Finality is also horn of the hare.
What's that? One of the
Horn of the hare is something he uses as a construct. So hare is like a small animal, like a rabbit. And
ah
the hare has ears. It does not have a horn like a cow or a goat or something like that. So he says that all of this, the highest to lowest, every concept is
yeah
just horn of a hare, which means that it does not actually have any substance or reality.
yes
In that he puts everything, the names of God, the guru concept, the disciple, the teaching, Vedanta, everything.
And I think this is why I like this book very much, because it brings this freedom that
Well,
not
freedom also.
it brings the freedom that nothing exists.
Nothing exists is also horn of the hare. That's the beauty also is on there.
Look, I'm just going to read this paragraph because you catch me. So,
It's very beautiful in the sense that if you'll indulge the horn of the hare on this for a moment, which is that where does it bring us? To that empty which is needed, empty for God.
yeah,
So all pathways bring us to the same point. So this may seem to be very niti, very dismissive, but it is exactly what is meant to be. It's just like Nagarjuna style Buddhism, which doesn't accept any position about anything, even the highest. So,
yeah.
in the guise of a Vedantic book, actually, it is a very Nagarjuna style book. If you've read some of Nagarjuna's Buddhist work, please, you were reading something. Sorry.
I was reading. So it says, Ribu says, abide as that which is attained easily when one is convinced that one is Brahman, that which results when that conviction becomes firm in the experience of the supreme bliss of Brahman, that which produces a sense of incomparable and complete satisfaction when the mind is absorbed in it. and be always happy without the least trace of thought.
It's very beautiful, very all-encompassing. It's very as an instruction. We have to start with the end in a way. If you were to practically apply this, we have to start at the end of it. To start to come to that place where there's the least trace of thought. And then in the insight that is received in the absence of conceptual thought, that insight shows us that I am that Brahman. And there, this conviction, which I feel like it's not what is being spoken about, is not a mental conviction, but like the conviction of faith.
Yeah.
So that faith can be so deep when we allow ourselves to remain without even the trace of a thought. Then in the to link it to today's satsang, then in the photo booth of the Atma, when we are empty in this way, we come to the discipleship of the Atma, then we find the conviction of faith, because our heart tells us that I am that. There is no duality, there is no separation. Okay, there's just one question I want to clarify, which is that when I said sometimes we are under arrest by the Atma, that can be taken in some different ways. So let me just clarify what I meant by that. So what I was saying is that there are times where we make ourselves available to God. And actually, for those who have been at it for many years, God sometimes doesn't even wait for that consent triggering this under arrest moment, which I mean to share with a great amount of beauty that so effortlessly then he pulls us into his inner chamber of the heart, where all our faculties turn towards him and they stop their usual functioning. Such a gift that this inner recollection happens by his grace, which Saint Teresa of Avila called the prayer of recollection, which is not a prayer that we can do or make. So I like their use of the word prayer, or whatever Spanish version of prayer, which is that prayer is our inner state. It is not an activity that we are doing. You see? So in the prayer of recollection, our inner state is that all our faculties are then uh, inward facing, antarmukhi, turned towards God in the heart temple. So that is what I meant by under arrest when we meet the heart transmission. The questioner was talking more in terms of it can seem like in I have to say in the mind's version, it can seem like uh, our life got spent in trying to find God and with no seeming end or satisfaction inside. But these frustrations are very normally felt along the spiritual path. I was also frustrated many times on the spiritual path. The other day, we heard an expression of the frustration on the spiritual path as well. So sometimes it can feel like I've just wasted my whole life, my youth, my best years, and what has that got me? But how to convince you? It is I can only say that from my gray-haired experience now, nothing that we do for God is ever wasted. I mean, the one who posted the question is not here anyways. Hopefully she'll see a recording.
I'm here, Father.
Oh, yeah. So don't feel, my heart, I know this, having been through all that, which all spiritual seekers go through to a certain extent. So yeah, I don't feel like even a moment spent even in the effort of turning towards God ever goes to waste. In fact, the moments, the time spent turning away from God are clearly wasted, and that's what Maya wants, for us to waste this life to chasing death, basically. What is Maya's end game? Keep ourselves occupied in worldly things, chase everything, and then die. You see? Get some pleasure, get some pain, enjoy the ups and downs, roller coaster of life, and then die. So it is a very time-bound version of what life is. But the true possibility, which all the sages have reminded us of, is just to spend an eternity, the coming eternity in God's presence, is only possible in the spiritual project of loving God, turning towards Him. Nothing in the world can offer us that. Now, if our mind has convinced us that this project is false, that there is no spending eternity with God, then what can be said? Like, we can only say that we have to trust that in so many thousands of sages, they were so exemplary in their character, they would not all be lying to us about this. So somewhere we have to trust their voice more than the mind's convincing voice in these moments of frustration.
Father, may I speak, or we can talk later if you are tired as well? You choose, please. May I say? I think this battle within me just continues for such a long time. Like, one part of me fully understand what you said, and I'm fully content with it, and I choose it actually. Yet one part of me, which we call as desire and expectation, that life is going to change to the higher, like, and so many concepts also. Like, one concept I want to bring to you is that, like, many things come from my family, and I'm expecting this karma to be dissolved because I took as like this, and still, like, being with you and doing my practices when these things are not changing and life does not go in the way that I expect, this really causing a battle and maybe misunderstanding. And I want to add one more thing. I was contemplating at the other day, and I somehow see that, yes, this life is just unfolding. It has nothing to do what you are pointing to. And as so many saints says, like, it's just spending is prabhada karma. They say like this, it's just own life. And it's not easy to accept this while you have still expectation and desires, and you want to live this life and just want to play or something. So I just wanted to bring this because I feel like I am not able to play and not do anything. That's why it feels like being in jail. Like, I cannot move, and yeah.
Thank you. So you said rightly that there's battle on. And in Indian spirituality, all the outer battles between Ram and Ravan and in the Mahabharata, between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, all of them were also representative of the inner battle, this very same inner battle. Is there anyone in this satsang who feels like they don't have this battle which is going on? I cannot even say that. I doubt anyone can say that. So this attraction to Maya versus attraction to God, attraction to worldly indulgence versus attraction to merging in God, union with God. This is there in everybody's life. And I don't feel like anyone that at least I have met can truly say that that battle is completely ended for them. So, and this may bring into question some very popular Indian notions of enlightenment and finality of freedom or something like that. But that's a longer conversation for next time. But know that this battle happens with everyone every day. It happens with me, and I can almost guarantee you that it happens with everyone that you've ever met, that I've ever met. So uh, you just have to keep at it. I know it can seem worthless and thankless at some point, but we just have to keep at it and keep returning to the side of us which wants to be with God, and just pray that the other side becomes weaker and weaker in its strength. But whether that strength will become zero, I cannot say. I can only bless that it be so for all of us. But I cannot, in all honesty, I cannot testify to that being true for myself at least. I don't see when we can continue this next time. So I hope that in these satsangs, when I just keep blabbering on like this and I'm just realizing it's been so long, I hope that you will make up for the contemplation time during the rest of the day. Please don't take the words of satsang as an end in themselves. Use your notes or use the recordings, but dive into the main points that you find so that the greater truths hidden behind these words can be met by you in the heart. Otherwise, I'm almost tempted to say that satsang is then wasted if you're not doing that. Sending you all my love, all of you, all my blessings, all my.